All right, can you guys hear me at all? All right, can you guys hear me at all? I should be able to talk. All right, like I said, apologize about that, guys. Trying to get that all set up. All right, like I said, apologize about that, guys. All right, so let's go get into it. Like I said, not too many of you guys are in here yet, but like I said, we just are getting started. So, um, thank you for those ones that have joined already. Like I said, we only got a 3-gamer today, so there's not too much to really talk about. Little bit of news as well. All right, let's see what we got going on. So our first game we're going to look at is San Antonio and Detroit. Not too much has really changed from this one. Okay, so I apologize. Still trying to make sure everything's correct. All right. Let's go dive into it for a little bit with you guys. San Antonio and Detroit. I pulled up some Fancy Cruncher as well with some of my own personal projections. These will probably change, but this is mine right here that I loaded in. Obviously, you can see that's Fancy Cruncher. So if you guys, projections aren't everything, but there you go. If you guys want to see a little bit. So yeah, San Antonio and Detroit. we got a 232, and it's going to be these. Like I said, this is slightly messed up, so it's going to be Detroit by 1.5. So whatever you see is going to be opposite. So 232 still Detroit by 1.5. Still going to be a pretty competitive one. Let's go look at the Detroit defense here. As I kind of was telling you guys before with San Antonio, right, they're kind of limiting their guys on their minutes. Detroit's defense is pretty good for the most part. They do struggle at power forward, shooting guards. They do give up 23.9 points per game, 3.2 three-pointers. But just like I said, they're kind of limiting their guys right now, unfortunately. We got, like I said, Fox. We got Castle. I actually got Fox higher than Castle, projections-wise. So, and even as it is, it's only 4.5 value, for Fox. So not a ton going on. Devin Vassell got him projected at 20. It's just not a lot really happening for DFS wise here for San Antonio. Got Victor at 51, only 4.4 value. So I don't think there's really a ton that you want to go this way in cash games. If you're going GPPs, you can always look at Victor if you want to. You can always go look at Fox. Got him higher than Castle, so maybe he pops up with a little bit more value here tonight. But as you can see, not really projected them too well. It's it is a 232, but San Antonio really does spit out their minutes and their projections pretty well. So moving on to the Detroit side of things here, a little bit better that you want to target. But Detroit once again they are pretty healthy as well. But as I was kind of mentioned, Kate Cunningham definitely going to be one of the better ones to look at here in this one. I only have him at a 4.5, but still got him at 50.5 fantasy points in this one. You got Duncan Robertson here sitting at 1692. So I was thinking maybe a little bit higher, but as you can see, there's just not a lot of value. Zor Thompson's not bad at 4.6, 28.25. As we know, a guy that doesn't really shoot the ball a ton, but can kind of get it done with some rebounds and stuff like that. So and assists. So don't mind going that way. Not a ton of upside, more of a cash game play, but as I said before, on this 3-gamer, there's really not too much to go crazy about. We've got Tobias Harris at 26. I think he could go a little bit higher than that, and if he wants to, but like I said, his usage rate 8 for 14, right? Kind of dipped 19.1 with Jalen Duren coming back. Did shoot the ball a lot better though, but like I said, don't really want to rely on Tobias Harris too much with his shooting. As I said, with Jalen Duren coming back, you can see his rebounds absolutely dipped. So yeah, he shot really well, but like I said, usage rate overall went down with Jalen Duren. So that's why we got him at a 26.2 here. So speaking of Jalen Duren, I've got him at a 4.6, a little bit better, about 36.4 on this one. As I mentioned, I think he's not too bad of a spot. Usage rate was at 29.3 coming back from his suspension in the All-Star break. 13 total rebounds. So yeah, this is probably one of the spots you're going to want to look at. He is 8,000, but and he's taking on San Antonio. But like I said, San Antonio's defense has been slightly worse at the center position here recently. 48.5% field goal, 14 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks. So that's kind of don't mind looking at Jalen Duren. I don't know what his ownership is. Let's see what Fancy Country has him at. Usually don't go off their projection ownership, but they only have him at 12. I think he'll be a little bit higher than that. But that's probably the one I would look at. So Jalen Duren, Azor Thompson, Kate Cunningham are the main guys I'm really looking at here in this one. As normal, guys, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, you guys can always leave them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them when we can for you guys. We'll get there in a second. We'll go look at the Sacramento side. We got Russell Westbrook plummeting to 5,900 much. His minutes are just terrible. Really high usage rate, but they're just not playing the dude. The one kind of value on the slate, like I said, there's not a ton. But the one that you can look at is Malik Monk if you want to, depending on what's going on. Devin Carter. As I mentioned before, Carter really didn't play last game, and then he's questionable here. So if he's out, that gives Malik Monk a little bit extra run off the bench. And one of our better value plays of the slate got him at 23-27. So a guy that can absolutely pop. We can see him on the usage rate over here: 6 for 13, 5 for 8, 8 for 16. And with Westbrook limited, then maybe Monk can get you 25, 30 minutes and be a half decent play here on tonight's slate. Yeah, this slate definitely is it's brutal. It's not for the faint of heart, but there's definitely ways around it for sure. Um, and you got Clifford, like I said, that might help out a little bit with Carter being out. But once again, this guy's usage rate's really not great. Maybe if he starts, usage rate will go up. As you can see, when he starts, he likes to shoot the ball a little bit more. But not too afraid of the Memphis defense, so you can definitely attack some of these guys if you're playing multiple lineups. I wouldn't really play Clifford and or Westbrook in cash games. I won't even play Westbrook at all. Keegan Murray, I mentioned him in my video, and projections are backing it up, 31.6 for him. Really good value play for Keegan Murray, a guy that, obviously gets you about 30, 35. So 6,000, I'll put him in there. Got him projected a little bit higher than DeMar DeRozan as well. DeRozan sitting at 6,800. DeRozan's more of a GPP play for me, a guy that we know can go off for 40, 45 randomly. Not too bad of a usage rate: 26, 30, 32, and 22. So, I mean, his usage rate's there. Just he's still getting to the foul line, but he doesn't really shoot threes. He's more of a mid-range guy. So yeah, DeRozan's more of a GPP play. Definitely going to be taking Keegan Murray in all my cash games, even in tournaments. Solid play. You could always, like I said, if you're playing tournaments, you can look at a Floden if you want to. Didn't really do anything. Shot 1 for 1. Still had 15 fantasy points, so that's always encouraging. He had a 6% usage rate with 15 fancy, so that's probably what defense. Yeah, he is a good defensive player. I mean, semi good. Sorry, but I just don't know if he's going to get really enough. Kind of need DeRozan to be out for that one. Achua, I kind of mentioned it. His minutes might be going down slightly with Keegan Murray, but I still think Precious Achua is good in tournaments. Projections only have him at 22. Like I said, I think he could get it done in tournaments, but like I said, his minutes have been all over the place, so that's the biggest thing with him. Um, Keegan Murray coming back has been hurting Precious Achua a little bit. Doug McDermott came up to 3,600. See what he's been up to. Massive usage rate. Just yeah. No. Okay, we only got him projected at 1, so not expecting too much from Doug McDermott. Just curious why his price went up, but then over here, like I said, with Max, once again, he's going to be really chalky tonight. One of the main guys at 6,300. If you're playing cash games, put him in there. Why not? He's pretty good. We got him projected at 33.4. Usage rate came up last game with the 26, but still overall pretty solid cash game play. So Keegan Murray and Max is probably the main two guys I would be looking at with Malik Monk here in that one. You're fading Keegan. Uh, I don't know if I can. I mean, you can in tournaments, but I don't know if I can fade him in cash games. Memphis side of things. So Ty Jerome is still questionable in this one. Scottie Pippen, I was talking about earlier, may get a suspension, but he just got a $35,000 fine. So if Ty Jerome is ruled out, and like I said, it definitely could be with I think he had an illness. So usually when those things happen on game day, they usually rule them out. Scottie Pippen definitely comes into play, but this guy is still limited on his minutes, and who knows if he threw his back out with that hit by Gardner. That was crazy. Can't deny this guy's usage rate though, 32 and 36. I mean, massive usage rate. So it's kind of a Ty Jerome situation, but a little bit cheaper. Limited on minutes, but he can pop off. So Ty Jerome does ultimately play. I'm not really interested in Pippen or Walter Clayton. But if Ty Jerome does play, then Walter Clayton is definitely one of the value plays on the slate. Solid usage rate coming off the bench, 27-17, and when he started 21, he should probably get the start if Ty Jerome doesn't play. But we'll see how they do it with the rotation. But anyway, even if he comes off the bench, he's still worth a look. So Clayton at 4,200, definitely don't mind looking at him here in this one. And then you got Cam Spencer. He's at 5,700. He's a little expensive, right? Like it just depends on who's going to be out. But it seems like right now they're just not really playing him with his minutes. Um, you know, so don't really think he's going to be the best play to look at. And he hasn't really been doing too much with it either. So you can look at Javion Small maybe. Let's see what the projections have him at 22.55. So yeah, they have him as a value play. Pretty good usage off the bench. So if you're going to find any value, that's probably where it's going to be. Um, so just keep that one in mind. A little bit of value depending on what's going on with Ty Jerome. If Ty Jerome's out, gives a little bit extra usage rate to Jalen Wells. His price has came up quite a bit, so keep that one in mind. If is it Meshack? I think that's how you say his name. If he does start, let's say Ty Jerome's out and he starts, then I really don't mind putting him in there. If he comes off the bench, don't like him as much. Um, so we have to keep an eye on that one. But for sure, GG Jackson, he came off the bench last time out. It was kind of weird, but he still shot 11 for 17. So GG got him at 26.82. So I still really don't mind looking at him. And then we got Prosper as well, 5,500, a little bit cheaper than GG Jackson, and can kind of put up similar numbers as well. So that's another guy that you're going to be looking at. Quite a bit of value over here on this Memphis side of things. But it's going to be really chalky, right? Because there's only so much value that you can go to today. And then we got Lawson Lovering. I don't know if he's going to start, but as I said, only if he starts, then I'm going to put him in my rotation. But as of now, I don't have a projection on him because I don't know if he's going to start. So if he doesn't start, not play at all. They are facing Sacramento, so I can see them using him, but I don't know if he starts. We'll see. All right, Lisa, if you guys have any more questions or anything, definitely let me know. If you guys are enjoying the stream, leave a like. We appreciate it. We are moving on to Utah and Houston here in this one. So Keontae George is still questionable. Marketed is still probable with an illness. But Keontae, like I said, he's been out for a very long time, so I'm not sure how much he's really going to play. Right, he played on the 7th, but that's been almost 2.5 weeks. So even if Keontae George plays, I don't expect a ton. Projections show that as well to 25. We do got Isaiah Collier, 28-22. I just, it's not too bad, but 8,200, we're not too high on him here, taking on Houston, so probably going to be a fail unless you're going to do tournaments. Ace Bailey at 6,100. Got him at 26, so an okay cash game play, but he's 6,100. So there's like I said, you can go to the Grizzlies if you need to get a little. Like I said, it's gonna be a little bit shockier, but I just don't think Utah's gonna be able to stay in this game here. Sensabaugh still really massive usage rate off the bench, 25-31. Did start had 27, but I mean that's probably a tournament play only because of the matchup, right? It's not great for him at all. Conchar, not really into him at 4,000. You can look at Kyle Flipowski. As I mentioned in the video, Houston, the only place that they kind of struggle is center, right? They give up a 53.6 field goal percentage. They give up 12.2 rebounds and almost 2 blocks per game. So Kyle Flipowski could be in a half decent spot. Projections only have him at 29, but like I said, I see him more of a GPP play. So he does have a lot of upside. And, usage rate is probably going to be half decent, and hopefully market in, gives him the ball a little bit more. So I don't mind looking at Flipowski and some GPP. So Flipowski, maybe Bailey, but I'm just going to be fading these guys for the most part. But Flipowski would be the main guy that I would be picking in this one. Houston's going to be the next one that we got. Mostly the same thing. Nothing has really changed from this morning. We got Reed Shepard still at 5,800. Going to be one of the better value plays. We got him projected at 25.4, as you guys can see there. So don't mind looking back at him. Usage rate's pretty good besides that last game against New York. But 23, 21, 26, and a 29% usage rate. So don't mind looking at Reed Shepard here in a pretty good matchup, against Utah. So expect him to be relatively chalky. Amen Thompson, another guy you can look at. Our projections don't mind him at 37.5. So this could be it's going to have a decent spot. Hopefully these guys can get their, projection. I mean, get their value before they blow out Utah. So I think if you're playing cash games, you got to probably just stack with Houston. It's not the greatest thing. I mean, good looking on paper, but it's going to be the smartest thing to do in cash games. Probably, stacking Eason with Thompson, maybe some Reed Shepard, Sengun for sure. Sengun's in a really good spot. But yeah, Eason's there at 6,000. And like I said, projections definitely don't mind Sengun here today. And the industry likes him as well. We got him at 44.6. So Going to be a very popular pick here tonight at 44.6 projection. So let us know. We only got lock about an hour out. If you guys want to get in on premium, we have that available as well for you guys. Only $6 for a day pass for 2 lineups. So if you're interested, like I said, definitely let us know. We have our Twitter and our email in our other videos if you guys want to click on that. I forgot to add it here in the comment section. But let's see what we got going on. Let's go kind of do a cash game kind of make here for you guys. So like I said, I really do like Kate Cunningham. I think he's one of the better high spend up options in this one. Um, and like I said, if Ty Jerome is out, Walter Clayton definitely becomes in a really good spot. And really don't mind looking at Malik Monk, depending on what's going on with Carter. If Carter does play, it makes it really a tricky spot, and I probably wouldn't mess with Monk as much. Um, and then let's see. Like I said, I really don't mind going up to Eamon Thompson if you can get up to him at 8,300. That gives you 63 to kind of mess with things. And like I said, you should be able to get enough here. Like so, you can go Keegan Murray. If you don't want to go that way, you can definitely go to Gigi Jackson at 6,400. And you could always spend up to Kevin Durant. Or if you want to go mid-range, you can go those two, since this is more of a cash game build. And then so you can probably go Prosper, Sengun, and then what does that give you? Only 4,200. Oh, there's any cheap jack. Well, if he starts, then there's a really good cash lineup for you guys. But if he doesn't start, then you're gonna want to get the max at 63, and then you'll have to change up your lineup a little bit there. Let's go. We don't go Jackson. Let's see what we got a small forward. Gonna have to, like I said, mix these things up a little bit. Haven't messed around with the projections yet today, but you guys kind of get the build that we're looking at there. If you can, fit in as many Houston guys as you can. If you want to get Eason in there as well instead of, Kate Cunningham, you can take him out and kind of change that build up a little bit. If you don't want to go Kate Cunningham, and you could always, like I said, stack a 3 or 4 man stack with Houston in cash games, and also add Kevin Durant and Jabari in there if you wanted to. All right, so if we're gonna do like a GPP build, right, you're gonna want guys that are lower owned with high upside. I'm still probably gonna put in Kate Cunningham in GPPs. I just think he's in a good spot. Like I said, if you're going a little bit different, you can go Javion Small. Javion Small. He's going to be a little less owned, I think, than Walter Clayton if Ty Jerome is out. So you can go that way. He's a little bit more expensive, but his usage rate is still pretty dang good. So you can go that way. And like I said, GPPs. And I don't even mind going Small and Clayton if you want to. I really don't, only if Ty Jerome's out, because I still think Pittman's going to be limited. So there's still going to be minutes to go around for those guards with Coward being out as well. Like I said, shooting guard, I really do like Eamon Thompson. He's going to be a good build. You got Reed Shepard, a solid 28 to 30, but that's not really a GPP play. Monk's not really a GPP, but he fits this build right here because I just don't see anyone else I really care for in that area. Gives us 6,200. Can't really do a GPP. It's more of a hybrid tonight because none of these guys are just worth it down here. No one I would really take a shot on. So, like I said, you can go back to Eason if you want to at 6,000 to be a little bit different with the ownership. But like I said, I expect Gigi Jackson to be really, really popular alongside with Keegan Murray as well. So, just kind of like I said, depends on the build that you kind of want to go. But I don't see crazy GPPs. Like I said, it's going to be more of a hybrid tonight. So if you want to get in Kevin Durant, it's like too much money. We haven't put in Kyle yet. Like I said, I told you guys I like Kyle in some GPPs. I really do think he could pop off, and then maybe not pop off, but be a little bit of a difference maker than the other guys because it's just so chalky, especially with Kyle Anderson being out, with Oliver there. That kind of gives you 6,200. I really want to get Sengun in there as well if you guys can do it, but gonna have to change, like I said, change things up just slightly if you want to do that. Um, but then, like I said, Sengun's so dang popular. I just think Kate Cunningham could get you a little bit more points tonight on the GPP side of things. So, let's see. That's kind of what we got going on. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm here to answer anything. I don't see any injuries or anything new coming up. Like I said, it's only 3 gamers, so there's only so much to really talk about. But like I said, if you're trying to get different, JV on Small, that again, it's going to be the difference maker over Clayton, I think, in ownership. I do expect Cade Cunningham to be slightly lower owned because I do expect Sengun to pick up some ownership. I just do. Like I said, I haven't looked at the ownership yet, but I will definitely look at that here in a little bit. But Monk should be in a good spot. If you think he might suck on us, which would. I'm gonna say that if Mishak starts for some weird reason, he's in a good spot. Um, if not, go up to Reed Shepard. And like I said, Scottie Pippen's even worth a look in GPPs, even in limited minutes, because I don't think a lot of people go that way. And like I said, I wouldn't spend up for Victor personally. I would rather go to Sengun, which that's where a lot of people are going to go to. Um, it's just so many. There's just only so many ways you can go different tonight. Like I said, Chula's going to be your difference maker as well, but he said Murray's been taking his minutes pretty well. So, but overall, it should be a pretty good cash game, kind of like a hybrid build. You're gonna probably want for the most part about the same amount of. I would say probably 6, 7 of the guy. I didn't mean to do that. I promise. Of the guys, probably about the same, and then maybe 1 or 2 difference makers as well if you're doing like a hybrid. But in cash games, it's going to be really chalky. It is. I can just see the chalk of Houston and a couple of Memphis guys is probably where it's going to be on the chalk side. So, um, but yeah, besides that, guys, I really don't have too much to really talk about. Like I said, if you guys want to look at my projections over here, they'll probably change. But whenever we're doing, like I said, our premium, these are our projections that we're using over here. So just loaded it them so you guys can kind of see. And as you can tell, they're slightly different than Fancy Crunchers. So um, let's see what the top value plays are according to my projections. We got Walter Clayton at 5.6. We got Max at 5.3. Keegan Murray at 5.3. Tyrese Eason at 5.3. And Monk at 5. Small, 4.9. And then Kevin Durant, as I said before, he's up there at 4.8. So if you guys can try to get him in there with Alfred Sengun, don't mind looking at that. We got Taylor Hendricks as well, 4.8 value, but he's not really projected for the highest. So I don't know if, like I said, I just don't think he has a lot of upside here. Now I changed it to the highest projection. So we got Victor at our highest. We got Kate Cunningham number 2. And then it drops down to Alfred Sengun, Kevin Durant, Amon Thompson. And then Jalen Duran there. Like I said, it could be your slight ownership difference. This is what the ownership projection for, like I said, Fancy Cruncher at 152. I usually don't go with theirs, but this kind of gives you an outlook. 42, Kevin Durant, popular. Sengun, Cunningham will be popular, but a little less than these guys. So, like I said, more of a hybrid play. Keegan Murray has a lot of ownership, so if you guys do think he's going to suck, you can fade him at 30% ownership plus. You got Eason as well. Ty Jerome's carrying 22% ownership right now. If he, is able to play. And then Stephon Castle is actually carrying 19% ownership, and like I said, we have him only at 4% value, so maybe he will take a dud tonight. Marketed only have him at 28. Like I said, Kyle's a little low, but I can see him in GPPs. Then Azor Thompson as well. So, like I said, there's not a ton of value out here tonight, but Walter Clayton's going to be one of the main guys to be looking at, depending on what's going on in that news. So, um, like I said, if you guys want to come join us for premium, we'd love to have you. Like I said, only $6 for a day pass. You guys can always check us out. Like I said, if you have any questions, let us know. If not, we're probably going to be ending the stream here because, like I said, only 3 games and kind of went over everything. But I'm probably going to be playing about 5 to 7 personal lineups tonight. That's kind of what it's feeling like here in this one. Oh, you think Vince Williams will be a difference maker? I didn't even go look at him. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go look at Vince. Projections only have him at 10. So um, let's see what we got going on. Played 23 minutes last time out. 16% usage rate. Only had 14. So that's definitely more of a GPP play. Like I said, projections only have him at 10. But if he gets to start for some reason, you can look at him. But yeah, Vince Williams, I love him. I do. I loved him when he played for Memphis. He was killing it. But over here in Utah, slightly different for him. And like I said, if Keontae George does play, it's going to be change Vince Williams' minutes just a little bit as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, if Vince Williams pops off for 25, you're probably going to be up there in a winning tournament because I don't think anyone's going to go Vince Williams. Because like I said, a lot of people's projections are pretty similar to mine, and if anything, I don't think a lot of people are going to have him. So um, they still got him at 6% ownership. So there you go. Maybe somebody maybe something does. But yeah, like I said, we'll see if Keontae sits. I mean, if he plays, he's going to be limited probably to about 20, 22 minutes. But you got to remember, though, even if he's limited, his usage rate is going to affect these guys quite a bit. Um, and that's kind of why we got Collier only at projected at 28 because of the impact that Keontae does have, even if he's coming off the bench. So, um, well, like I said, we only got Collier at 28, only at 3.4 value. So. But I think that mostly does it, guys. Like I said, unless you guys have anything else, I appreciate you guys all stopping in, even though it's only a three gamer. But I don't know. I think it's not too bad of a slate when you really dig into it. You just gotta hope and pray that those certain dudes don't really suck in cash games. Like Keegan Murray could absolutely suck for some reason in that high ownership. So like I said, if you're playing, tournaments, definitely watch that ownership. That's the biggest thing if you guys are playing tournaments, and especially single entries. Single entries is slightly chalky in a way. A lot of the pros really put their top projected lineup in there in single entries. That's the honest truth. That's what they do. Um, so the pros in a single entry are going to have a load of these dudes, right? They play a hybrid cash games and single entries. If you're playing multiple, multi-mass inner, then obviously that gets way different, and you start changing things up. But they're going to have a majority of these dudes right here in their lineup, like 85% chance. So if you're trying to be a little bit different, like I said, you can try to go down to some of these cheaper guys down here. Maybe, like I said, a Jabari Smith that's going to be slightly less owned. And you got to be different on a three gamer here because, like I said, if you're playing single entry, they're going to have most of those guys for sure. Walter Clayton's only at 16, but like I said, if Ty Jerome's out, he's going to jump up to 50, 60, 70%. So, but yeah, that's mostly it. Once again, guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Um, like I said, we're going to try to do live streams a lot more often. And like I said, we're still working on the technical difficulties. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, check us out on our Twitter and our email. Like I said, that will be on our regular YouTube videos over there. So once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you guys win some money tonight. And like I said, we'll see you guys here on the next one for a very, very nice slate for Tuesday for tomorrow. All right, guys. We'll see you guys here on the next one.